There's originally up to about 200.
Maryland has a couple of residential schools, and so they're all across the country. So that would be one way to get involved and just to learn more about the community by participating in community events. There are mainstream programs in different school systems. You could contact them and just see if they have a need for volunteers. Another organization you should be aware of called the National Association of the Deaf. And so www.nad.org also has resources on deaf people in the deaf community and deaf history, and that I think would be another great place to start.
Those are all really great resources. Thank you so much. As we draw to a close, the idea of the podcast and the name of the podcast is Wish You Knew. So if you had to summarize all of this, if someone only listened to the answer to this one question, what would be the 1 to 3 things that you wish we knew about interpreters or deaf interpreters?
I'd say that the important thing is that they should respect the community. American Sign Language is a language, just like English is a language, and one isn't better than the other. So it's been the case where I've heard that people showed video from the TV news and said, oh, this interpreter is so beautiful, I love ASL. And really, the work that they were doing wasn't all that great. So I think one of the things I wish people knew is that it's a language just like any other, and they need to know the language and learn more about it in order to really fully appreciate it.
It seems like a great place to end to me. Thank you so much for being on the show. I know that we have all learned a lot from your answers, and I hope our listeners got all of their questions answered. If not, Stephen gave us all some great resources where we can turn for more information. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you very much. I really enjoyed participating in your podcast.
Again, a huge thank you to Stephen for being on the show and for everyone who helped to make this episode possible. There's a long list of people, so I won't name them all, but you know who you are. Thank you also to our listeners who submitted questions. If you would like to have your questions answered on the show, you can go to our website, wishyouKnewpodcast.com, and under the list of upcoming interviews, you will see places where you can click and submit a form with any questions you have for an identity that will be interviewed on an upcoming show. Next week, we will be talking with someone who lost their house to a hurricane. These folks lived through the Superstorm Sandy back 5 years ago, so we're doing that episode in anniversary of that storm and to remember all of those who are going through the same thing now throughout the U.S., throughout the Virgin Islands, in the Caribbean, Puerto Rico, all the places that have recently been hit by hurricanes. So if you've been watching that unfold on the news and have questions that you would like to ask somebody who has experienced that and lost their house to a hurricane, please go on the website, submit your questions, and we'll try to get those answered on the show. So be sure to tune in next week. Until then, remember, people are people are people. Keep listening, keep learning, keep loving.